a little bit about CTA, which is the Corporate Transparency Act, there was a recent legal decision which reversed a prior ruling that kept some of our membership safe from BOI reporting requirements. Now this is so confusing, isn't it?
In today's political climate, change in Washington is the only guarantee. And when small businesses aren't plugged in, they pay the price. That's why NSBA keeps you hardwired to what's happening inside DC.
Hi, Jack. How are you today?
Hey, Molly. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. And thanks for everybody who's joining us for our second episode of Hardwired, where we keep you connected with all the policy happening in DC. I'm Molly Brogan here on staff with NSBA, and it is my pleasure to have a conversation with Jack Furth, our chief lobbyist here at NSBA. We're in the second week of January. Jack, tell me what's happening. What's Congress got on the schedule for the next couple weeks?
Well, a lot of what we're dealing with in January of 2026 is essentially what we were dealing with at the end of 2025. A lot of the conversations we were having around appropriations and around healthcare are the same sorts of conversations that are taking place in Congress now. Of course, as we move through the year, there's all sorts of legislation lined up, working in terms of energy, housing, AI, crypto. But right now, spending and healthcare are the two big top line items.
Where is NSBA in those? What's our dog in the fight here?
Yeah, I mean, a huge part of our advocacy relative to the spending is our desire to not see another shutdown happen, right? So we were huge advocates during before the shutdown happened at the end of last year to prevent it, and during it we talked a lot about how interruptions in lending can be damaging for federal contractors and also place a strain on the larger economy, which hurts smalls more than anybody else. So that's where we are there on spending. In terms of healthcare, we're of course always advocating. One of our top priorities is to rein in healthcare cost as voted on by our membership during Small Business Congress. So a big part of what I do when I'm having conversations with members of member offices is advocating for healthcare policy that's not punitive towards smalls specifically. In terms of where the conversation is between Republicans and Democrats on healthcare, there's obviously a lot of distance that's appeared, especially around the Affordable Care Act premium subsidies.
Jack, give us just, the elevator speech of the premium subsidies and what's happening there, just kind of a top level, what to be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of division between the House and the Senate on where they want to be here. Last week, Democrats passed, with the assistance of some Republicans in the House, a 3-year extension of the ACA premium subsidies. But that vehicle is on track to fail over in the Senate. Over in the Senate, meanwhile, you have a bipartisan working group of Republicans and Democrats trying to figure out a 2-year extension that would have some modifications made in terms of eligibility and requirements. That is making progress. However, there's no sense or guarantee at this moment that leadership or rank and file members will get behind it. So progress is being made there, but we're not sure yet exactly where lawmakers are going to land. So
Jack, not to put you on the spot, but you've got the inside scoop on Capitol Hill. What's the tea? What's happening lately?
There's a lot of just kineticism as everybody gets back into the swing of things. I was watching a hearing that the House Small Business Committee was conducting on what the SBA Office of Advocacy has been doing over the past few months since the appointment of Dr. Casey Mulligan in the position of Chief Counsel.
I did want to mention NSBA was really outspoken in our support of Dr. Mulligan as the Chief Counsel over at the SBA Office of Advocacy. So we're delighted to have him in the position and look forward to continuing that strong relationship we have over there. And if you're unfamiliar with the SBA Office of Advocacy, they're basically the chief watchdog inside the federal government, watching out for small business, making sure that regulations take into account the uniqueness of small business, making sure things aren't too burdensome, alerting groups like ours when new regulations come out. They're critical and really one of the most important yet unsung agencies. We've been working with advocacy for years and have developed some great relationships there. Interestingly, Jerry Glover, who runs our Small Business Technology Council, was a former chief counsel back in the 90s. And so we've got a very strong relationship there. And I think it's a great foray for you to start talking about some of the innovation issues that we're facing, Jack.
Two of the big things that we're dealing with right now as we move into 2026 is with CTA, which is Corporate Transparency Act, and SBIR, which is Small Business Innovation Research. On the CTA side, we're really looking for a legislative vehicle and a champion that would ensure permanent reversal, repeal of the Corporate Transparency Act. As it stands now, due to a regulatory posture adopted by FinCEN, domestic entities are not really at risk of CTA enforcement. So people are good, but in the future administration or even this administration could change that posture, and then those requirements would turn back on. So we're looking for that permanent solution. On CBIR, there have been continuous negotiations between different committees in both the Senate and the House. That actually lapsed right as the shutdown was happening. So some of the narrative around that program and the necessity of moving it forward was kind of lost in the conversations that took place around the shutdown. As we move into 2026, it's coming up on people's plates again in a serious way. Negotiations are ongoing between different committees in the Senate and House. As of now, a legislative solution to renew the program has not yet been introduced. So we've been in offices really just emphasizing the importance of this program to so many of our members.
Thanks for that, Jack. It's a really important information. And if for anybody who wants to dig in a little bit more to the CTA, our very first Hardwired was on that topic. Todd and I had a great conversation, so check that out for sure. And most importantly, Jack and our whole team here, we do a lot every day, but we can't do it without you. One of the most important things that NSBA has when Jack goes up to the Hill is you, our members. The more we can get you engaged and do that kind of grassroots activism, the more important we are and the bigger resource we are seeing on the Hill. Definitely stay involved. Keep listening to Hardwired. We're going to keep you connected to what's happening in Washington, D.C. And Jack, as always, it's lovely to see you.
Lovely
Thanks,
to see
everyone.
you too. Thank you.